Welcome to St. Anthony's Catholic Church in Farnham Royal, Slough, England. Today, we celebrate the feast of the dedication of the Lateran Basilica, 9th of November, 2025. The Gospel reading today is from John chapter 2 verses 13 to 22. He was speaking about the temple of his body. The Passover of the Jews was at hand, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. In the temple he found those who were selling oxen and sheep and pigeons, and the money changers sitting there.
25, 26, all counted, sir.
And making a whip of cords, he drove them all out of the temple, with the sheep and oxen. And he poured out the coins of the money changers and overturned their tables. And he told those who sold the pigeons,
"Take these things away! Do not make my Father's house a house of trade!"
His disciples remembered that it was written, "Zeal for your house will consume me." So the Jews said to him, "What sign do you show us for doing these things?" Jesus answered them, "Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up." The Jews then said,
"It has taken 46 years to build this temple, and will you raise it up in 3 days?"
But he was speaking about the temple of his body. When therefore he was raised from the dead, his disciples remembered that he had said this, and they believed the scripture and the word that Jesus had spoken. Please follow us for weekly gospel.
Today, 9th of November, the church is commemorating the dedication of St. John Basilica, also known as Lateran Basilica. You may wonder what is so important about this church in Rome, what is so significant about it, that the entire Catholic world today, we are all celebrating its feast, the dedication of that cathedral, more or less taking the place of Sunday normal ritual and rites. Without going deep into historical details, we may start by saying that Lateran Basilica is the oldest church building in the world, being the first church that was ever built openly and officially dedicated for public Christian worship. Before Emperor Constantine, Christianity was illegal in the entire Roman Empire for many centuries. Besides the fact that Christians were persecuted, they were not allowed also to have public service. So they worshipped in private homes, in hidden places, in catacombs. There was nothing like a church building because it was not permitted. However, with the Edict of Milan in the year 313 AD, Constantine, as the emperor at the time, legalized Christianity and granted Christians the freedom to have their worship in the public. So with that, they started constructing churches. Now this particular basilica, this particular church, was constructed and dedicated in the year 324 AD, being therefore the first ever Christian church that was ever dedicated for public service. And therefore, today we are celebrating and commemorating that dedication because it has become, by that very fact, the mother of all churches in the world. We are today celebrating its dedication, its memorial, its feast, because of what it stands for and what it means for us. It is the seat of Christianity. It is the seat of Catholicism. That is actually the cathedral of Pope. You know, some people think that St. Peter Basilica is the cathedral of Pope. No, the cathedral of Pope is St. John Lateran Basilica. So today, it stands for us as a symbol of unity. Today, it stands for us also as a symbol, a sign of freedom for public worship. It stands for us also as a sign of victory, victory born out of perseverance by the early Christians. Now, in the light of today's celebration, may we talk briefly about church. What does church mean to you? what the church means for you. First and foremost, church is not just the building. Rather, fundamentally, it is the group, the community, the assembly, the gathering of God's people. People who believe in God through Jesus Christ in the Holy Spirit. Meaning, therefore, that all of us who are baptized, we are the church. And that is what the second reading says, that we are all the temples of God. Now, besides this meaning, the church also means a special place, a special building, designated, set apart, made holy as a place of meeting between God and people. We know that God is everywhere, but the church as a building represents a special enthronement of God's presence in a particular community. A house built by the community, given to God as God's house, where people will go in to encounter him within the context of prayer and worship. It means, therefore, that when I enter into any church, I am being reminded that I'm stepping into the house of God, into a holy place. I am stepping into God's presence to connect with him in a special way. People come to church to worship God. But besides worshiping God, people come to church every Sunday for so many reasons. To seek peace and comfort, to unburden themselves, to escape the noise and the busyness of their daily lives and connect with something that is greater than themselves. To find hope and encouragement, to seek healing, to refuel themselves, to connect with one another, to receive or to listen to the wonderful melodies from the choir, to be inspired and strengthened by the readings and the speech given within the context of Mass. In fact, for so many people who come here every Sunday, it is like a therapy. Now, if all of us believe that this place, this church is holy and is God's place, and that is our faith, then it commands from us respect and reverence. And it gives us all an obligation to care for it and to protect it. The way I behave in the church, the things I do in the church, they tell so much about my level of understanding of what this place is. It tells so much about my faith and my sense of devotion to holy place and holy things. A Catholic invited his friend to their parish church for Mass, and that friend was an atheist. So when they got into the church, as usual, the Catholic genuflected. And an atheist, the friend, said to him, "Why did you do that? What's that for?" And the Catholic tried to explain to him, "By doing that, I am acknowledging the presence of God. I'm paying my loyalty. It's a way of paying reverence and honoring the presence of God, because this house is not ordinary. It's the place where God lives. It's God's house." And the atheist said to him, "You believe that this place is where your God is?" And he said, "Yes." And then he said to him, "So the only thing you can do when you come into the place where your God lives is to kneel with one leg. Is that all you can do? If I should have your faith, if I should believe what you believe, that this house is where my God lives, I will never kneel with one leg. I will rather prostrate." I'm not asking you to start prostrating when you come into the church. But today we are going to re-examine again how we treat this place, this our own church. Am I sensitive to the other person sitting beside me who has come to pray? Do I actually have it at the back of my mind that this place is holy? Do I lose that consciousness? Now I'm talking about how we treat this place. I will be now more particular. Now, before Mass, especially our Mass, talking about our 10:30 a.m. Mass, the kind of noise we generate, it is so loud and very distracting. Sometimes when you come in here a few minutes before Mass, you may not understand the difference between the church here and what is happening in Tesco, because the noise is so much. I understand that when we come into Mass, we exchange pleasantry with our friends. It is a way to connect again. But it is so loud that some people come in here on time and quite in time to have a quiet time to pray, and we rob them of that peace and that moment. We have a special program here in the church every Sunday that when we finish our masses, we move into the crypt to have a social atmosphere when we can shout and laugh and then drink tea and coffee. If you want wine, I can also serve wine. But that morning hour when people need quiet time to recollect, to pray, and also after communion, let us not rob them of that peace, of that calmness. And to help us in that regard, therefore, from next Sunday, when we come together for Mass, we shall be having a little prayer before Mass, maybe 5 minutes. Someone will lead, and then the prayer will last about 2 minutes, and then we have 3 minutes to stay calm and then to recollect ourselves and prepare for Mass. The second one is about the children. This Mass is traditionally called Family Mass, and that is what it is. And we try to accommodate it. We love people from families to come along as a family. And that is why here we developed a wonderful provision for children, that they have their own session in the small chapel where their teachers will teach them the same thing we are doing here within their level. Now, come to think of it, if you come here with your children and you allow them to play around, to move around, to run around during Mass, how does that help the next person sitting beside you? If you allow your child to cry, the child needs attention, or they are shouting, how do you help the other person to watch it with concentration? When I asked about this building, I was told actually that because of Family Mass and because of children being well accommodated within our Mass, that this glass there was actually installed to help families who have children, especially when a child needs extra attention. All you need to do is just walk around, go to the narthex, there are seats there, allow the child there, they can run around. And with that, you also will concentrate, and the person beside you will concentrate. So I am asking those who have kids, please bring them along for Mass, but pay attention to them. Even in their nursery schools, they are not allowed to move around or to play while the lesson is going on. We must encourage some kind of sensitivity so that we be sensitive to the next person. Now, every week, there are people talking about care of this church. Every week, there are people who move from Langley, High Wycombe, so many places, but they're members of this parish. They come here every week to clean this church, to tidy it, to make it good. Please, at this moment, I would like all of us, in appreciation of that, the volunteers who do this, to give them a loud applause, please. Thank you so much. Why they do this? To keep this house of God clean for all of us. How does it look like that after Mass each Sunday, we see tissues littered all around? The tissues you use to clean your eyes or whatever, you leave it on the seat and you go home. You leave biscuits on the floor, on the pews, and go home. You leave bottles of water and go home. Even your newsletter you collected, you abandon it on your pew and you go home. Things we cannot do in our living rooms, we are confidently and comfortably doing it in this place we call the house of God. Sometimes, on my own, maybe within the week, when it's so dirty, I'll come out to clean it before the cleaners come towards the weekend. Please, I'm asking, if this place is for us indeed a house of God, may we never lose that consciousness and that respect and that reverence. Taking care also of whatever is in the church. It's our pew, it's our kneelers or our kneelers. You know, we can gently pull that kneeler without being violent. You can just pull it down gently. Some will use their leg and pull it and then boom. If I were the kneelers, I would start crying. Because I am being treated without even respect. So I am asking you, please, the time to pull down the kneeler, just pull it down gently. If someone is sitting beside you and he put it down violently, just stop the person, please, easy. You know, here in the church, we find it, I don't know why, difficult to correct one another. Are we bringing into the church this idea of political correctness? We do it outside there. No, it shouldn't be. When someone is distracting you, just stop the person. You are not distracting me anyway. Just say, hello. It's okay. It will help the person also to understand where he is or where they are. That is why in the gospel of today, Jesus Christ had to drive people away from the temple because they have lost the sense of holiness of the temple. They were making noise, they were trading, they were changing money. May we never lose the sense of what this place is. When you pass across any church anywhere, may it remind you that that place is the place where God's presence is specially enthroned within that community, where the members of that community congregate every Sunday to seek God. So friends, I hope I have not sounded so harsh, but sometimes we need to say these things and say them clearly. We need to honor this place if indeed we believe it is where God is. I pray that whatever we do here, our actions and our inactions will help promote better worship. That my actions will not distract you. And may those who come here every Sunday in search of peace, in search of God, in search of a quiet time, in search of hope, may my actions as your priest and your actions as co-worshipper not disappoint them. And may all who enter into this church, St. Anthony's Farnham Royal, find peace, encounter God, and experience His power.
Shepherd, I shall not want. He